Hello and welcome to the Underhive. We are back with some more How to Command the Death Guard since Warzone Nephilim. In this series, we're going to take a look at every aspect of the Death Guard, so whether you're looking to get more out of your army, or you're thinking of having a taste of Nurgle's bubotic bounties, then there's something here for you. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the 4th Plague Company. We've already covered the first 3, and we'll continue to cover the rest. The 4th, sadly not one of the stronger, but let's jump in and take a look at what the Wretched have to offer. The 4th Plague Company are the Wretched, and they are geared towards more of the psychic potential of the Death Guard. So their stratagem is a requisition stratagem. So unlike the rest of the stratagems available to the other Plague Companies, this one occurs before the game. And so on one hand, it's not that powerful in and of itself, but it is a buff that you spend once and you will get for the entirety of the game as long as that character is alive. So you can get more value out of it incrementally, but on the other hand, it isn't that powerful in and of itself. What it does, use this stratagem before the battle when you're mustering your army, and select one Wretched Psyker model from your army. That model knows one additional psychic power from their chosen discipline, and once per psychic phase, they can reroll one psychic test taken for that model. So of course, knowing one extra power doesn't let you cast an extra power. We looked at that. There's a similar relic available in the general codex. And as it goes, you could double down and have one psyker with this and one psyker with that. This one gives you the extra known power and a reroll. The other one in the general gives you an extra known power and the ability to heal D3 once per game. I would argue that re-rolling one test per phase is probably more impactful, but not that much more impactful. Knowing the extra power gives you additional flexibility, but you're not going to struggle to fit in 2 or 3 psychers into the list, especially since the points decreases. So you're going to be able to get that flexibility without this stratagem. And re-rolling one psychic test is nice, particularly because some of the powers have not only a minimum threshold, but a super mode like Smite does when you cast it on an 11+. So it is nice to be able to re-roll them if you're trying to go for that higher roll, but do bear in mind you have to take the second result, so you could roll a pass into a fail. It does give him more consistency though, so overall, bit more flexible, bit more consistent, but just not that much more powerful all said and done. The Warlord trait is Eat a Plague. So Eat a Plague, while an enemy unit is within contagion range, each time an attack is made by a friendly Wretched model against that enemy unit, unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds. This is very similar to the Inexorable one, and I don't mind the Eat a Plague personally, but given the Plague Marines have now got their buff and they can have better shooting weapons for free, or can go full melee, or a mix of both for free, you don't really need that so much. That was better when it was like, oh, I've got loads of bolters, and bolters are crap at causing wounds, and they've got no AP, so I need a lot of them to go through to expect any damage. Okay, well, we'll take unmodified hit rolls of 6s. We don't need to roll the wound roll at all. But given the new buffs and just the overall weakness of the rest of this company, I don't think the Eat a Plague is good enough to warrant picking them, unfortunately. But in and of itself, unmodified hit rolls of a 6 automatically wounding isn't a bad effect. It's just not that good. The relic there, Demon's Favour. So this can only go on a Malignant Plague caster because it buffs their innate ability. So again, bear in mind here, they have a version of this ability built in that you are losing to make it stronger. So you're only incrementing the power, which I don't feel is a great use of a relic. I would rather add something that isn't there with a relic. But again, the fact that you're not getting it for free now means it is costing you if you want this. So I think that is another nail in the coffin of the Wretched. I just don't think you'll be spending for it. But either way, the Malignant Plaguecaster's default ability, just to begin with, is Pestilential Fallout. Each time this model successfully manifests a psychic power, if the result was a 7, blessed, or more, the closest enemy unit within 12 suffers 1 mortal wound. And if it is a damage spell, a lot of them do target the closest. Not all, but most of them target the closest. So it's just an extra mortal wound on that target if it was on a 7 or more, which is very nice. This, in addition, would change that to each time an enemy model successfully manifests a psychic power, if the test was a 7 or more, the closest enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Otherwise, the closest enemy unit within 6 suffers 1. I don't quite understand why it says the closest enemy unit suffers 1, because when I use the term otherwise, that would mean instead. I don't know why you'd ever pick 1 mortal wound instead of D3 and on a closer target rather than a further target. That's just worse. So I don't know quite why it's worded that way. I can't suss it out given the wording, but you basically can deal more mortal wounds on average. The average result is 2 rather than the flat 1. I just don't think it's worth doing, though. It's just not that much more. And at the end of the day, the Malignant Playcaster, you're taking him because he's cheap. The fact that he's not going to get that for free ever now, or at least not until the next Warzone, means that you're probably never going to take that. It's just not a strong enough relic to warrant spending a CP on. You'd probably be far better served spending it on one of the other general relics, or just not at all and save it for strategy. So sadly, the Wretched, probably the weakest played company. Well, nice quick one there. Hope you're enjoying the series. If you are, I'd really appreciate it if you get involved, whether it's a like, a comment, a sub. You know it helps me out, of course. You know how YouTube works, but it really would mean a lot to me. So thank you so much for that if you have. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time in the Underhive.